Mailbag time here on the show. We're going to answer questions that you guys asked during our live show, which was on Tuesday at 4 o'clock Central. So, hey, make sure to tune in for future live shows if you want to be on future mailbags. Let's start the show off with this question in from an MVP of the channel. It's Garrett. What's your take about Jeudy and Sutton staying with the Broncos, Matthew? Also, would Sutton be traded halfway through maybe? You know, I was looking to go 24, 48 hours without talking about Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton. But, Garrett, you asked. I think that's fine. I think it's good. They're both good players. Definitely been underwhelming for Sutton as of late. But if you can get back to that 2019 Courtland Sutton, yeah, that's an awesome deal. As for Jeudy, if you could get a first for a player who's entering year 4 and as a wide receiver has not gone over 1,000 yards and has dealt with ankle injuries, you'd be hard-pressed not to consider that. I still think a trade could happen during the draft. As for a mid-season trade, yeah, if Denver is where they are last year at the trade deadline, they'll be getting a lot of calls, and maybe this year they do decide to make a deal go through with Jeudy a little bit older and 1 year less on his rookie contract. Garrett, thank you so much for the question. I'm Frey. What's our record this season, Matt? Not Doormat, Matthew. Record 9-8. Denver went 5 wins last year. 9 one-score losses. They go 4-5 in those 9-score games with a better coach with Sean Payton. That's 9 wins. I think 9-8 is very attainable. 8-9 also right there too, obviously. So pencil me in for an 8-9, 9-8 season in 2023. Mary Lamb. I saw some chatter about Sutton going to the Lions. Thoughts? I saw this on Twitter too, coming from some Detroit Lions blog boys, fanboys, lower level NFL rumors of maybe the Lions reaching out for Courtland Sutton. After the reports from Sean Payton saying we're not trading either player, you would think that would close the door on a trade. I don't think it absolutely does. Absolutely does shut the door on a trade. Sorry about that. If a draft day trade comes through, yeah, I bet Denver would be interested in picking up more picks once April rolls around. Sutton, the last 4 seasons, we'll throw his stats on screen. He has not been the guy they gave a big extension to after an awesome 2019 season, right? Fortunately, the ACL injury sucked, and that definitely slowed him down early in 2021. But he's 2 years removed from that in 2022, and just 4 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons with relatively a clean bill of health, right? Just missing 2 games last year. That's simply not going to cut it to be paid what he is being paid right now. We're going to get to more questions in just a moment, but the pinned comment for today's show is a relatively different one than we usually do. Just shout out your city for me. Let me know down by the pinned comment what your city is, where you're tuning in from. I really just want to see where all of our viewers are, right? How big Broncos country stretches. So let me know where you are watching from. It's the pinned comment, so to go down and reply for me down below. Eddie Martinez. What would be the first position drafted by the Broncos? I'm guessing when you get to round 3, you're really just looking at best player available. You know what I mean? If a guy it could even be offensive tackle, for example, right? They could be looking at, maybe we replace Garrett Bowles in a year or 2 and draft his replacement now. But if it's simply team needs, gotta envision pass rusher, which is bizarre because every year it feels like we have the same conversation. But with Randy Gregory being unreliable and that leaving you with Baron Browning, Zach Allen, might want to look and add some more depth right there because is Nick Bonito ready for a bigger workload? I'm not sure. So I'm going to go with pass rusher for Denver as the first position drafted. Whether that's outside linebacker or defensive end, I'm not sure. Tim Stark, what's going on? Is there any way Denver goes out and trades for Ekeler or Cook? Tim, good question. Ekeler I can't see it happening with, the Chargers being in the same division. Dalvin Cook, you got the connection from George Payton and his time in Minnesota, but at the same time, he's coming off a down season. He's expensive. He's older. I don't think they are looking to, sink assets and resources with only 5 picks to offer into older, expensive running backs, right? If they were awesome last year and they lost Javonte Williams, that could make some sense because then they feel like they're just one piece away. But they weren't awesome last year. And I don't think they are a older running back away from doing a whole lot in 2023. What they could be, using instead is that draft pick they would give up for them to get a future developmental prospect down the line. Now, if you are looking for a Broncos YouTube channel with the best coverage year-round, you have found it. Now, don't only subscribe, hit the notification bell, turn the notifications on. That way, when we go live for shows or breaking news happens, you don't miss a thing. So join the Noti gang, hit the notification bell icon if you have not already, and select all. Joe, I'm not going to say the rest of it, legit leg kicks. Bro, Russell Wilson isn't gonna not play, bro. We just paid $230 million. He has to get paid, so he better play, and he's the best player we got. One, he's not the best player on this roster. Patrick Surtain is. You can make an argument there are 3 better players on this roster, but Justin Simmons, Pat Surtain, and Mike McGlinchey, if you want to go in that direction. But regardless, yeah, Russell Wilson is going to be the starter in week 1. My point is, going back to the conversations about Jarrett Stidham getting a lot of, praise and love from Sean Payton, does Sean Payton have the same leash that Hackett had? Hackett's leash was a mile-long retractable dog leash. For Sean Payton, I don't think it's one of the retractable ones. I think it's like your standard 6-foot leash. And if things don't go well and Denver is off to a losing start, Sean Payton's going to make a change quicker than Hackett did. So they might be paying him a lot of money, and maybe ownership will pressure them to keep their very expensive quarterback on the field. But I've learned a little bit from ownership, and that is they have no problem getting things right. So if that means sucking it up and realizing Russell Wilson was a bad investment and to turn to Jarrett Stidham, I wouldn't say that's not going to happen simply because of how much they're paying Russ. Gabriel, you're next up on the show. What's the update on Russ after surgery? He had a very minor knee scope surgery after the season. I know at the NFL owners meeting, George and Sean Payton were asked about it. They had no concerns whatsoever. They fully expect him to be ready to go when OTAs roll around. In fact, the NFL even scheduled the Broncos to have like a voluntary minicamp before the draft. And Sean Payton's like, that's on their schedule. That's not on our schedule. So just a fun little tidbit right there. But Russell Wilson should be ready to go first day of OTAs. Justin Simmons' dad, bring back Risner at right guard and move Belly to center. Ooh. So re-sign Dalton Risner and move Quinn Meinerz from right guard to center, bump Cushenberry out, and get kind of the best 5 offensive linemen on the field at once. You might be onto something, Mr. Simmons. I don't think that's a very bad idea at all, actually. In 2022, we've got Risner's PFF grades. He was middle of the pack, 42 out of 77. He's not someone that can't start in the NFL, right? He's more or less entering his prime if you're going off the logic of second contract, hitting the middle of his career. He was okay last year, right? Was he unplayable? Absolutely not. There were unplayable guys on this team. But Risner was not one of them. He's just a free agent, and Denver was looking to go a different direction from the former second-round pick. When we look at the offensive line depth chart, Bowles, when he's healthy and returns, Powers, Meinerz, Risner, and McGlinchey. I mean, if Dalton Risner is not getting a lot of offers elsewhere, and he's looking to stay with his hometown team, right, the team that drafted him, on maybe a cheaper deal than he was hoping to get in free agency, I don't think it's a bad option. You move him from left guard to right guard, let Ben Powers and him maybe duke it out. I'm not quite sure. That'd be up to the coaching staff to figure out. But hey, I don't think this is a half bad idea. So what would you do? Would you bring back Dalton Risner for cheap? Denver's got like $7-ish million to spend in free agency. You could re-sign Risner for $3 to $4 million, toss in some incentives like that, keep the cap hit low. Would that be something you'd be interested in doing? Curious what you guys think. Yes or no? Aaron Gonzalez, always tuning in. What's going on, Aaron? What position do you think the Broncos should draft with our first pick in the 3rd round? I think we have back-to-back. So, Couple supporting graphics here for you, Aaron. Denver does have back-to-back picks, right? They've got 67 and 68. What position? Best player available. What would that be ideally? Edge rusher or cornerback? I know George Payton has talked about those two spots being on their radar. I think they might go wide receiver in rounds 4 or 5. But as for 67 and 68, if they can go edge rusher corner, that's a pretty good haul for them. Although we spend so much time talking about how we need to fix the offense, and the defense was great. But then we're going to spend the first 2 picks in the draft on defense. Although a lot of resources and money went into the offense during free agency. Aaron, thank you so much for the question. Eddie Martinez, what's going on, Eddie? If Russ is a bust again, what's the next move at quarterback the following season? Great question, Eddie. Let's say Russell Wilson. In fact, we can bring up Russell Wilson's stats from 2022. Let's say Russell Wilson in 2023 is similar to 2022. Maybe not as bad, but he's not the guy we gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a $250 million for, right? If he looks like the player we saw in 2023, that was 2022 version, what are your options? Well, I know this much. He's got an $85 million dead cap hit in 2024. You're likely not eating that. That is double and then some an NFL record for a dead cap hit if Denver just outright cut Russell Wilson after 2023. So what are their options? Bring him back and you make him the backup for whoever you want to draft or sign. Probably have to draft because you can't afford a free agent quarterback and pay Russell Wilson. So maybe it's Jarrett Stidham for the next year. They're going to have a very tough decision to make if Russell Wilson looks like he did in 2022 this upcoming season. So, Eddie, thank you so much for the question. Appreciate you tuning in. The next move, hope Jarrett Stidham's the guy because that's the cheapest option. Or draft Drake May or Caleb Williams and you get the first pick. That's also a very good option too. Jackson Nicholson, do you think there's a possibility we get Calais Campbell? We're filming this right now on Tuesday, so maybe by the time this video goes out, he could have signed because he's already had some meetings. As for possibilities, yeah, right? A little bit of a homecoming back to Colorado. You could use some help at the front 5, right? You could have him swap in for Jonathan Harris, have a nice rotation going between him, Zach Allen, and DJ Jones on that front 5 right there. Toss in the Wazirike from Iowa State from last year. Yeah, I don't think you could absolutely close the door. The only issue is Denver's already spent a lot of money. Are they going to spend more on Calais Campbell? He might actually get more than just the vet minimum this offseason. Zandon Rohan. Would you want OBJ on the Broncos? Would I want Odell Beckham Jr. on the Broncos? I mean, yeah, why not, right? I mean, who wouldn't want Odell Beckham Jr. if he looks like the OBJ we all remember from the New York Giants? Is that going to happen? No. Denver is not OBJ away from doing anything in 2023. If they still have difficulties at the quarterback position, you'll be tying him up to a lot of money, and that's just not what they need to be doing right now. Spending big contracts on older, skilled players when they don't have a quarterback in place based off last season to maximize those players. So, would it be cool? Yeah. Is it maybe the best thing for this team? I don't think so. Get the best out of Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, Tim Patrick. You're paying those guys. Use them. All right, Demetrios Kultekis. I definitely got that wrong. I'm sorry, Dimitri. Doesn't seem like Sean Payton is sold on Greg Dulcich. I could see him being more of a slot weapon in Payton's offense. Maybe they draft another tight end. I go back to what Sean Payton did a lot of in New Orleans. He had a lot of success with Jimmy Graham and a good tight end. I do think he'll find a way to come around on Greg Dulcich. Dulcich unfortunately got off to a slow start last year with the hamstring injuries. Wouldn't be shocked if they add another tight end. They signed one in free agency, Chris Manhertz, although he's more of a blocking tight end. We also saw Albert Okwuegbunam's career resurrected at the end of last season under a new head coach. So maybe they plan to roll with Dulcich, Alberto, and Manhertz along with a rookie tight end. But I think for now, Dulcich is probably in line to be tight end 1. That's going to do it for us for our mailbag today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, if your question did not get answered or you got a question at all, just hop in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer those questions you may have down below.